How's it going, everyone? If you follow us on social media, you may have noticed that we recently updated our social media profiles with a new BPD logo, and we wanted to take a moment to explain why we created a logo, how it differs from other visuals we've used in the past, and why any of this actually matters. Hi, I'm Officer Knutson, and before I became a police officer, I was actually a graphic designer. I primarily worked in the snowboard industry, designing ads, working on illustrations, as well as creating a number of different logos. When I joined BPD over 20 years ago, there were a few different visuals that were used in a graphic design sense, but there wasn't a lot of consistency. Aside from our uniforms and patrol cars, there wasn't much of a brand identity, so to speak, but that wasn't a big deal at the time. Back in the 90s, we used to have 200 to 300 people applying for 1 or 2 positions at the department. We didn't really have to market ourselves to attract strong candidates, but now every department in Washington is essentially trying to recruit the same few people who are interested in law enforcement and qualified to be the type of officers we want working in our community. When talking to officers we've hired recently, we found that they looked us up online, followed our social media, or watched our videos on YouTube before deciding to apply with us. We realize that nowadays our brand identity matters, so we felt it was necessary to address the fact that times have changed and we're living in a very visual world. When we go to career fairs, pass out printed literature, or put information out on social media, we want to be recognizable and have a consistent image for the same reason most businesses or organizations do. With that in mind, I set out to design a logo that could be used across multiple platforms. The artist who designed our patch, E. Hamilton, chose to use the mountains and the water in his original design to reflect the beauty of the region, which is why I felt it was important to keep those elements in the logo design. The outline of the shield and badge was used because of its iconic connection to law enforcement, and as a matter of practicality, the text, especially the word police, needed to be more readable than it had been in the patch design. While I personally like designing conceptual and symbolic logos, we're a police department and not a tech company or consulting firm, and I felt that a logo for our purposes should be more literal and easily identifiable. From there, I followed my personal logo design philosophy. A logo should work as a color image, and it should work in black and white or in a variety of 1 or 2 color options. Because of the amount of detail in the original design, our patch worked in full color but lost a lot of detail as a 1-color design. I also believe a logo should work whether it's produced in a larger scale like a sign and when it's shrunk down for a business card or social media application. Once again, our patch had limitations. The line work of the patch, which was originally limited by what was possible with embroidery, didn't look as professional when it was produced at a larger scale. And due to the amount of detail in the patch, it didn't scale down as well either. In 2023, we also have to consider how a logo can be incorporated into photos and social media. So a logo nowadays should work well as an overlaid image or as a watermark. A functional logo should be able to accomplish all these things, and our patch or the stripes from our vehicles simply weren't intended to serve all these purposes. As far as cost of the project, which more than a few people voiced their concerns about on social media, over the last year, while I've been assigned to focus on recruiting and community engagement, I've worked on this logo in between other projects so we could address the changing times and be as competitive as possible when it comes to attracting the best new officers. All that to say, no outside money was spent on this project. So that's why we created a new logo and why sometimes we believe change is necessary. Having said all that, I'm very comfortable with the fact that when it comes to things like art, music, food, we all have our own opinions. But ideally, I've answered some of the questions out there, and hopefully now you can draw your conclusions with just a little bit more information. Thanks for watching.